What's up, everybody? My name is Brad, and today I've got another book review for you guys, and I'm going to be talking about Grave Peril by Jim Butcher. This is book 3 in the Dresden Files series. I'm going to go ahead and read the synopsis for you guys real quick, and then get into my thoughts and everything about the book. Harry Blackstone Copperfield Dresden has had a rough couple of weeks. As the only openly practicing professional wizard in the Chicago area, he has squared off against a multitude of supernatural bad guys. Harry has won the day against demons, poltergeists, sorcerers, trolls, vampires, werewolves, and even an evil fairy godmother. You might think nothing could spook him. You could be wrong. Something is stirring up angry apparitions all over town. Something that can break all the laws of supernatural physics. Something that doesn't like Harry. His closest friends are being targeted. The net is closing in. Harry must find a solution soon, or find this is one nightmare from which he will never awaken. So like the previous books, I listened to this one again on audiobook. It was narrated by James Marsters. He does a fantastic job once again. If you are new to Dresden and maybe thinking about trying it out, or maybe wanting to do a reread, I highly suggest the audiobook versions of these. The first 3 books have been fantastic. And as far as I know, James Marsters narrates all the other books as well. So I don't expect any dip in the quality at all. A very fun experience, entertaining, fast-paced. And Marsters does a great job with all the different character voices and whatnot. It doesn't seem like he's narrating. It seems like he's acting when he's doing these. And I think that takes it up another notch. For this one, book 3, I feel like that synopsis doesn't do the book justice. There's a whole lot more going on in this book than what it sounds like. I've said previously that book 1, Stormfront, and book 2, Full Moon, that you could pick up either one of those in any order and still be able to get through them and understand them and enjoy them. They felt sort of standalone, sort of, flavor of the week, monster of the week type stories. Grave Peril is definitely different. You can tell that Jim Butcher, he's starting to interweave and connect all of these stories, and he's working on the world building and the mythos behind the Dresden Files. In book 3, it's definitely not a standalone. You really need to have read Stormfront, which is book 1, and Full Moon, which is book 2, before diving into this one. There's lots of returning characters from the previous 2 books. There are things that Harry has done and decisions he's made in the previous 2 books that sort of come back to haunt him and play into the plot for this story. So you really need to read those other ones before getting into this one. And I feel like going forward, each story is going to build upon the last, and the consequences of one book, I feel like, are going to start playing into the other books. And I'm really glad that's happening. I'm not the biggest fan of, flavor of the week books or TV shows and whatnot. They're just not really my thing. I always like an overarching story. I always feel like there's more depth of story and character and whatnot in those types of stories and TV shows and stuff. So I'm glad the Dresden Files series isn't just going to be, the flavor of the week, the monster of the week, every single book. They're all connecting, and they're all going to be building upon each other from what I can tell has happened here in book 3. The synopsis, it makes it sound like we're just dealing with supernatural, like ghosts and poltergeists and whatnot. But like I said, there's a whole lot more going on to it than that. At the beginning of the story, I will say I was just a tad bit confused. There is a new character introduced named Michael Carpenter, and I did get him confused with the character Morgan from book 1. Morgan and Dresden, they were sort of pitted against each other in book 1, didn't get along. And I thought that was the same character here, and here they're buddies. So I was confused about that relationship. Like I said, that's probably just me listening to the audiobook and hearing the names Michael and Morgan instead of seeing them on the page and getting those confused. But I looked it up, and once I figured out it wasn't the same person, I was all good. I really like the character of Michael. It feels like him and Harry have known each other for a little bit. Seems like they've had adventures between book 2 and here in book 3. So we've missed a little bit, but we get a little bit about what's happened to them, what they've done together. We get more about sort of Dresden's backstory about when he was younger, more about his father and his mother. Here we're introduced to his evil, I don't know, evil might not be the right word, but his fairy godmother, and he has to deal with things with her. Back to Michael, I really like his character. He's sort of a Knight Templar, a Holy Crusader, just this sort of big, stocky guy. He has a sword called Amaracus, I think, which is like a holy sword. I really like his character. He's sort of, Harry's sort of your neutral character, your neutral good character, and Michael, he's definitely your lawful good character. I really like him, and their interactions between him and Dresden were sort of funny. Their banter back and forth was really good. I hope he returns for future books because I really liked his character. There's other new characters introduced, but there are characters that come back from the previous books, namely I can't remember her name, but the vampire that was in book 1, she returns for this one, book 3. There's a lot of vampires in this, without trying to give too much away. And we really get into sort of the political side of the vampire society, which I really like. I love vampires. I think they're really, really well done here in these books. I really liked them in the book 1, and I really liked how they were portrayed here in book 3. We get to meet the different vampire courts. There's the red court, the white court, and the black court. Each court, the vampires are a little bit different from the other vampires, but they're all they all have very bestial aspects to them, sort of hulking, just scary creatures that they can turn into underneath their human, facade, if you will. So I really like the vampires. They're brutal in this, and I really like the brutality of all of these supernatural creatures that we've encountered so far. The werewolves in book 2 were absolutely brutal. There's a demon in book 1 that was awesome. Some vampire in book 1 that was awesome. And the vampires here, they kick ass and take names, and they feel like a threat. That's one thing I like about this series and this book in particular. We know Harry's not going to die because there's 15 other books after this one, but he is put in situations where he does feel threatened, he does feel in danger, and you as the reader, at the time reading this, when it was only book 3 and there weren't books after this, there is that fear that he might get killed. You might not know what's going to happen next, and I like that level of threat. It adds more fear to the story, more tangibility, makes it more lifelike, gives it more depth, and I like those types of stories where our main characters are not just these untouchable, invincible heroes just completely destroying everything that gets in their way. Harry gets knocked down, he gets beat up, he gets stabbed, he gets whatever, gets run through the ringer, and he seems to find a way to come out the other side victorious. It's not always pretty, it's not always fast, it's not always clean, but somehow he grinds it out, gets down and dirty, and gets the job done that he needs to do. I really like that about him. We get a little bit more, like I said, character development with Dresden, learning a little bit more about his past, with his fairy godmother involved, and how that was maybe involved with his mom somehow. We get a lot more of the supernatural world here, the Never Never. We actually get to go to the Never Never, which is really cool, and setting up the Fae stuff, which I think that's going to play a really big part in book 4, Summer Night, probably the different Fae courts and whatnot. So I like that it is sort of stepping stones with each book. We get introduced to a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and it's still urban fantasy, but it's getting less of the urban aspects of it and getting more into the more fantastical fantasy elements like you would have in probably Brandon Sanderson or The Hobbit and Game of Thrones, that kind of stuff. More away from the modern stuff and more into the Fae and the vampires and werewolves and stuff. And I really like the gradual escalation of introducing all these fantastical elements into the story. I don't want to say too much more about the plot or anything. I probably said too much about it already. This is definitely my favorite entry in the series so far. Tons of new, fun, interesting characters. A lot of them that probably can show up again in other books. There's one in particular, I don't remember the name, but he was a guest at a party, and he had this like old-timey, I can't remember if it was a suit of armor on or something like that, but you'll know who I'm talking about when you meet him. He was a really cool character. I hope he comes back at some point. Bob is here again. Bob's always great. Bob gets to come along on the adventure this time, which was fun. Just a whole lot of fun, lots of entertainment, magical elements, lots of blood and guts, and great fight scenes and whatnot. And I'm really happy and pleased with how the series has gone so far. And I'm really looking forward to continuing on with the rest of the series. I'm having a lot of fun with it. If you like fantasy stuff, like urban fantasy, if you like Dungeons and Dragons, this totally feels like a Dungeons and Dragons game, but set in Chicago instead of, the Forgotten Realms or whatever. But I highly recommend this series and this book. This one was 5 stars for me. Definitely my favorite book in the series so far. And I'm really thoroughly enjoying the ride that Jim Butcher is taking us on so far. But that's all I have to say about it. This has been my review of Grave Peril by Jim Butcher, book 3 in the Dresden Files series. 5-star read for this one. Had a whole lot of fun with it. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. So thanks for spending your time with me. Again, my name is Brad, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.